Good morning. I have something that's been on my heart this week, and I wanted to take a few minutes while I was out here this morning to kind of record it and share it. Every night, most people know Monday through Thursday, I go to a workout class, a cardio class called Grind to Fit. Love it. If you've never been, look it up. Awesome place to go. And I pass this area on the way home, and I would call it an area of convenience. And it always strikes me when I pass it. There are so many choices out here. I'm going to show you. A lot of people know this area, but here we are. I have, Long John Silver's and KFC and Arby's and Steak and Shake. There's a Chipotle, a White Castle, anything you could think of within just a very small distance. And it regularly hits me how easy it would be to stop and get food because it's convenient and it's here. And after a long day, the last thing I want to do is go home and cook. I've said before, that's where meal prep comes in handy because it makes it so much easier to not stop and binge when I've got food already prepared at home that's going to go bad if I don't eat it. But yeah, it's here, it's easy. And convenience and easy has really just been in my head this week, because it frames our lives so much these days. How simple everything is. And we market, everything is marketed as simple. Everything is marketed as easy. That's one of the main selling points of a lot of things. We want things quick. And it's not because we're lazy. It's not because we're not workers. It's because we're busy and we have a lot on our plate and we're just trying to fit as much as we can in. Because that's what we have to deal with now. If I told you that I wanted a cookie, my most likely thing to do to get a cookie would be to go purchase a cookie. I would not think, well, I need to go get the flour and the eggs and the milk and I need to get some chocolate. My most likely scenario would be I'm going to go buy a cookie because it's simpler. It doesn't taste as good, I don't think, but it's easy. I would even argue that we have learned to market ourselves as easy and simple. Maybe easy is not the right word there. You get my drift? We've been taught to make sure that we're not burdens to other people. We apologize for being difficult, for being hard to deal with. Most of us do. I guess there's a few people that don't seem to apologize for that, but we don't want to bother each other in relationships. We want to be convenient. And that's not real life. Real life doesn't happen in an instant. I've encouraged a lot of people, and I believe this wholeheartedly. When you start a workout journey, take pictures. We are so used to, as we are unhappy with our body, hiding from cameras. I can show you old pictures, perfect angles, everything else. We're so used to hiding from cameras. Stop hiding from cameras. Take some pictures. And I'm going to tell you why. Because no matter how long you do this for, you're going to forget how far you've come. You're not going to be able to tell within yourself how far you've come until you're able to look back, until you're able to see. I'm going to borrow something I heard in church this morning where he was talking about how we're so used to seeing life in 2D. And it's really true. So much what you're watching right now is my life in 2D. All the pictures you're scrolling through on Facebook, it all comes out in 2D. We are so used to seeing today, this moment, right here, right now, that we miss the third dimension of life. That we miss the depth that's before us. And when we're dealing with our lives and with the lives of other people and the moment that we're in, it's that depth that we miss. So you walk past the cupcake table and there's cupcakes. And right then you see 2D. I want a cupcake now. Cupcake in mouth. Delicious. The depth is that it doesn't serve you to eat those cupcakes. Eat a cupcake every now and then, people. That's not the point. But it doesn't serve you to keep doing that to yourself. You miss the depth. When you look at yourself in the mirror in that moment, you miss how far you've come. So when you're judging yourself where you're at today, when you are intentional about growing, I guarantee you're growing. If you don't have that to look back on, you're going to miss it. You're going to feel like, oh, I'm awful today. You can look back and know, girl, you've come so far. When you're in a relationship with somebody and they frustrate you and they irritate you and they're bothering you. Girl, I've been married for 20 years. My husband drives me nuts sometimes. If I only focus on that moment, it feels like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my stuff. But when I think back on those earlier days and how much we struggled to get along at times and how far we've come, how much time we've spent together, how much has been invested, it's so much easier to deal with that moment because I'm not going to throw away 20 years of invested time over some hot dogs. That doesn't mean anything. There was no hot dog argument. I don't even know where that came from. But listen, you're not going to throw stuff away for that length of time. It's really easy to get caught up in the moment. If you can stop and look back and remember how far it's come. Get the depth. Don't get the convenience of the moment. Don't get the easy of the moment. It's easy to throw stuff away sometimes. It's harder to stay with it and work with it and realize you are making progress, even if it's just a little bit. That little bit adds up so quickly. My parents taught me to save pennies. I remember, I'll never forget the lesson of going to Kings Island on pennies because we had saved them up and my family did not have the money to just go. But Mom had saved pennies and we went to Kings Island on pennies. And I've shared a story somewhere in my feed of the empty jar. There was a big pickle jar my husband and I saved up on, and I'm telling you, that jar saved us so many times in a pinch, pennies and nickels and quarters. They all came together, they bought us tires, they bought us food, and when we were able to stand on our own 2 feet, they bought us a vacation, or they bought us extra money on a vacation, I should say. I just can't express how much life teaches you over time to invest in the time. When I started Grind to Fit last year, I stood in the very back. I was scared to be there. I was afraid of what other people would think. I could barely talk to the people behind the counter. I could barely handle any of the relationships. I didn't talk to anybody for weeks. I didn't talk to anybody in the barn. I didn't get to know very many people. I've been there a little over 13 months now. And I would say that probably, not trying to be arrogant, but most people there probably at least know my first name. And there's all kinds of people I talk to. I know that every day I frustrate myself. And some days I get really down on myself and not feeling like I'm doing very well and not feeling like I've come very far. My anxiety gets to me sometimes. My worries get to me sometimes. But, if I stop and I think, not even just that girl 13 months ago that started out working out in the barn. If I think about that 280-pound girl putting her very first foot on the track, deciding to make changes, and I think about what she was like. If I think about even younger, and I think about that girl so uncomfortable in her own skin, so worried about what she looks like to the world, it's undeniable how far I've traveled. And I miss that in the day-to-day. I miss the 3 dimension of my life so very often. Life is not easy. It's not simple. Relationships, not easy, not simple. Working out, fitness, getting yourself in shape, changing your life, changing the world, not simple. Not easy. I'm not simple. Living in my own flesh and body, not simple. It's a struggle, often. But convenience isn't all it's cracked up to be. These places, they're not going to serve me well. They're not going to do good things for my life. It's the hard and the time and the difficult. It's the grace we give to each other when we're not meeting each other's expectations. It's the love we offer when people disappoint us. It's the time we give to our goals. It's the patience we give to the journey. It's everything that we take and invest. Instead of just living in that moment or that week or that whatever it is, that small frame of time. If we'll see the bigger picture, if we'll not lose sight of the depth of life, and be thankful for everything that we have and all the progress that we have made, and be thankful to other people for everything that they've worked at and the changes that they've made. It is so easy to criticize and look down on other people for where they're at in the moment. But if you can open up your eyes to the progress and to the changes that go on in people's lives, it is so easy to just see today. But man, if you will look, it is incredible. You'll never get beauty from just a simple snapshot that you can get from being present and being there and being invested and putting down the 2D world and seeing real life. Don't take the easy road this week. Take the hard one. Take the one that you have to invest into. Don't go convenience, because that's not real life. That's not where real life is. Look back. I encourage you to take some time to look back and see how far you and other people have come, and give grace. Girl, you've come a long way. A long way. And yeah, you might have a long way to go. That's okay. You're going. You'll get there. That doesn't mean something's wrong with you today. The only way you can get there is to go through these steps. Go through them. Enjoy them, because they're not going to get them back. Keep growing. And don't take easy.